Banana slam jam.
Brian is going to show us a little bit more about why this wasn't an Ursa game on both sides.
Yeah, so, you know, as analysts, sometimes we have to explain ourselves unless your name is Kyle. And this time around, during the draft, I was talking about how Ursa's not a standard pairing with Abaddon as a 5. And the reason that is because Abaddon is a hero that does two things. One, he prevents his teammates from getting stun locked to death. And then two, he makes it so his teammates can then turn and result in a winning fight because they survived that stun lock. So first, we're going to talk about why picking Abaddon might be bad and what PuckChamp did great. Is Abaddon's whole idea is to be close enough to his core to be able to save him. We're on Nefrit's perspective right now. Abaddon's up here, ready to help him. He's close. He's trying to protect him. But with the Nyx plus AA combo, he dies so fast that G can't even get there in time. So this is a great way to deal with Abaddon lineups. And usually you want to core something like Medusa that's so tanky that it won't die to that initial burst. And so then we're going to see Nefrit here. Once again, he's got G right next to him. And we talked about how Abaddon's all about the turn potential. You get that shield off and you save him, and then the guy that got shielded turns all the damage back on them. We saw Leshrac from Liquid the other day. Notice how he gets shielded, he gets saved, but because of the AA blast reducing his healing, as well as simply Ursa is not a hero that works as turning the fight. He likes to get the jump himself. The Abaddon shield just has very little effectiveness, and Ursa hitting a tier 1 tower with just a Battle Fury, that's a whole nother story. And this is the last fight where you see Ursa has a Blink Dagger. Once again, Abaddon operates as a support who saves his core and then turns it, but this time he's got a Blink Dagger jumping the back lines, and Abaddon, he's not even on our screen, he's all the way down here, as Ursa's in no man's land because this is not what Abaddon wants to work with. He wants to save him, G about to give him another shield, but this is just not the type of hero that synergizes, and I know I keep saying it time and time again, but we see it when it comes to farming, we see it when it comes to tower pushing, and we see it in team fights. The two heroes' playstyles simply clash, and it's something you should consider when you're picking support and core duos. As that was
brilliant.
My proud parents over
That's
here.
our boy.
Great job, Brian.
That was a great
Wow.
presentation. Come here, buddy. You did a great job.
Thank you, thank you.
We're going to
All
go
right.
out for ice cream now. You earned it.
Sprinkles?
We at ESL1 have our own feature film here. It's also about a mathematical genius, Brian Canavan, and his attempt to break the Dota code.
You told me at an intro, but I was not ready for that, guys. So that was pretty sick, Cap. So yeah, we're down by 5,000 gold, 14 minutes in. Desperate times call for desperate, the player being in a smoke gank. So what we're gonna see here is a really cool smoke execution from Astral and Desperate. They're gonna have a tough time getting out on the map, and they're gonna smoke from their own safe lane. And we're gonna pause and look at the mini map right now, and we're gonna see the information they have. They see one hero top, one hero in the river, one hero bottom, and then they're going to see the gyro on a ward right here. So they know his exact projection is going to be this area, as that's going to be his farming pattern, and they also have all the information in the world that he's going to be by himself. Storm Spirit even makes a really cool move to ball lightning to the low ground to make sure the Centaur does not pop his smoke. So they predict where he is, the smoke breaks for Tusk right here, so they know he's at the large camp, and they ball in and get him before any of the saving crew is able to get in time, and Gyro's going to have the first crucial death of the game when they're up by 6,000 gold at 15 minutes. And then we get to go to a classic do's and don'ts of the carry roll, this one being a don't. So right now, this is the leading up to the solo kill from Desperate onto Nefrit's Gyrocopter. Desperate's just farming the top lane. He already had his Orchid done, we saw it, and he sees Gyro. Now let's note that he does not immediately jump this Gyro. He does not say, okay, time to go. But what then happens is his Tusk is going to get ganked in the mid lane as we pause and show the camera really quick, as there are now 3 heroes in the mid lane from Extremum, all of which cannot be there to help the Gyro, and Nefrit chooses to stay top anyways. He sees that, and he quickly jumps the Gyro, who he knows for certain is alone, does not have the Oracle to back him up, and this is the beginning of the end, and you can just not afford to make these types of plays. Carry players, really important to see what the rest of your team is showing on the map to make sure this doesn't happen to you in your games.
That was a wonderful film,
Yeah, that was
Brian. I
great.
quite enjoyed it.
Did I break the code?
You did. I think you
Okay,
broke it
cool.
wide open.
Thank you.
It was called the Information Game, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was about as good as the Imitation Game.
And for that answer, then, we are going to BSJ straight away to just hear what was going on that game.
Thank you, Shiver. This took me longer to figure out than I would like to admit, but just paint a picture for you guys. So what we have in the lineups is a Doom, who's a really strong solo safe laner, and a threat of an aggro tri-lane from Chicken Fighters. I'm going to assume there's some history between these teams in scrims where they knew this was coming. So we have a Dire ward that sees the lane swaps from the Dire side, and a Radiant ward in the Dire jungle that sees the lane swaps from the Radiant side. So now we're going to go to the next clip where we're going to see Kezu walking top. So what happened was, real quick, is that Viking GG was going to aggro tri-lane with the 3 heroes bottom on the minimap here that you see in order to dodge the aggro tri-lane of Chicken Fighters. Let's make that very clear. That's what they're trying to do. But then Chicken Fighter sees Kezu running top through that ward. So Charlie and Chessie, who are both kind of lingering around the mid lane trying to figure out exactly what's going on here, take a second to discuss. And now Charlie's going to flip a U-turn opposite direction, as well as Chessie, who's also going to flip a Yui. Now we're going to move on to the next clip where Shad, we're going to show you his perspective, sees nobody. So he assumes something's fishy. Look at the minimap. He has absolutely no information from the ward provided for him. So he's going to linger around the mid lane waiting to find some information of who's going where. This is at the exact same time that we were showing you what Chessie as well as Charlie were doing. So Shad, the default is to make sure you just linger in the mid lane to wait and see until you have the proper information. So Kezu, who then doesn't have the information either, is hanging out with Shad in the mid lane because right now they see absolutely no sign of the Doom or the Jug. So just bear with me. We now go to the Radiant's perspective, and Jug is running bottom while Doom is running top. And Nyx is continuously scouting out underneath his own ward. He sees Shad going top. So they don't want Doom against the PA. They want this tri-lane against the PA. So Chessie, who was just top, is now dipping out of there after seeing the PA run towards top. Charlie is now running towards top after he was in his own jungle. Just trust me, guys. You have to follow with me here. So Shad, who's now running top, sees the Jug bottom, running through his ward. He just got a clip of him running right through this little pathway right here. Is now going to turn around because he saw the Jug running top. Chessie, who now sees the PA walking away, isn't exactly sure what to do with it. So now him and the Jug are running into each other at the triangle. And Charlie says, well, screw it. I've got spin. I can clear this small camp. Might as well have a little bit of efficiency. And now Viking, who has no idea where Chessie is because they haven't seen him on this ward yet. Let me get to the... I actually can't remember all my clips. Okay, so they're going to see Chessie walk through this ward on the side of Viking because that's where they see. And we're going to go to the next clip where... Okay, I skipped it, but Shad and Omni Knight actually, Shad and Kezu, excuse me, farmed a small camp together. But now Shad, who's ended up in the bottom lane after all that shenanigans, is now laning against the level 4 Witch Doctor. And he's like, well, I cannot lane this. I didn't want to lane against the Jug in the first place. This is 4 minutes into the game. Is now going to TP to the top lane in order to just get out of the lane he can't occupy. And they're going to gank Chessie with what is now 3 heroes, a tri-lane effectively, but incorporating 2 cores. So now Charlie, who gets a little carried away and says, I want this lane matchup, TP's top, but now he's TPing into 3 heroes. And what's going to inevitably happen here is that Shad has a much stronger support group than that of Charlie, and Shad ends up being the one that farms this creep wave while Charlie doesn't even feel safe enough to walk up. So after all this BS of unnecessary, I don't want to say unnecessary, they went a little bit too far with the lane swapping, and inevitably Shad, who didn't want to lane against the Jug, laned against the Jug, but had a significant advantage at that point and got the farm that he needed while the Jug did not.
Thank you so much, Brian. Now there's one question off the back of that. Was that the deciding factor as to who won the game, T?
There was a lot of shenanigans going on, but I think overall Viking did come out ahead because PA got 2 kills.
Yes. But why is Luna so bad? We are going to hear from Brian to tell us more about that.
Thank you, Shiver. In order to elaborate on T-Gov, I'll tell you guys that Luna is 3-11 in all of DPC, and it is unpicked in China and SCA. So clearly there's something missing with the hero, and hopefully I can help you guys understand that. So right now we're seeing at the 12-minute mark, actually a bad start for Luna. Luna's been having good starts, but right now if you look at what Chicken Fighters has to do as a team, look at the mini-map, they're all 5 in the same area while Shad is farming on his own. This is what you normally see with a carry, but something with Luna, you pretty much always see her grouped up with her team. And this results in a lot of map control loss. And it also means it's very predictable. Luna will always farm ancients. She's always going to finish her farming pattern. If you look right now on the minimap, where is she going to go next? She's going to go right here. That's her only reasonable option. But if you look, she TPs mid rather than walking. So there was nowhere else to really go. Viking was prepared to gank her on the triangle all the way up at the top of the screen, and they just happened to be smoked in the mid lane and bring him down. So when you have limited area to farm and you don't create space on the map, you're inevitably very predictable. As you notice here, Shad once again farming by himself, Viking consistently having a lot of map control in comparison. Now the issue with this is Viking actually makes a pretty huge blunder here, where if you look at where all of Chicken Fighters are, this is where they've been pretty much the entire game. And Viking chooses to try to take the one objective, Roshan, that's right next to where Chicken Fighters happens to be planting themselves. And we want to focus on the fact that Luna is the #1 net worth on her team, but look at her impact in this fight. Yes, Chicken Fighters actually win this fight and they end up taking the Roche, but Luna, as we're going to see in just a second, is going to spend the entire fight just sitting in this area in the river, just sitting here, beaming, sitting back, waiting for his team to basically win the fight for him. Charlie is yet to enter the fight until Shad is about 10% HP. Gets a couple right clicks to finish off, but that's not what you want out of your #1 net worth hero. And here we're going to see the exact same thing. We're going to see Charlie try to have teamfight impact at the end game, and here's where the Razor comes in. He gets linked, pops the Eclipse, BKBs go off, but absolutely no impact after he gets the link off. And if you're getting that much impact out of your #1 net worth hero, it just feels underwhelming, and I think can explain why Luna has such a low win rate.
Brian actually has more to be able to break down just how well Unique did in that game. Right, Brian?
That is exactly what I'm going to be talking about, Kev. Not at all, guys. So, what I actually wanted to talk about was why I wanted to elaborate on some of the points Kyle was making during his cast. I know some of you guys might have muted him already, but that's okay. So, after they took these tier 1 towers, there's 2 things I want you to consider. And the first off is what's happening on the map when nobody's fighting and what's happening on the map when there are fights. So when nobody's fighting, I want you to see what's happening from Unique's perspective. We're going to look at the mini map real quick, as of course it's not going to work. Just push spacebar for me, Kyle.
Cheever, hit spacebar.
Spacebar. I promise you guys, I checked this like a minute before I came on. So what you're gonna see on the map is Snapfire farming top, Storm farming mid, and Wraith King farming triangle. And you have to think about the moves that Extremum's gonna make. If we highlight the itemization of Legion, no Blink Dagger. We look at the itemization of Leshrac, no Boots of Travel. It's so strong to consider if you think from Extremum's perspective, or from Unique's perspective, if we show on a creep wave, who's gonna set up for the relocate? Who's gonna initiate the gank? And you see that the Legion with no Blink, the Leshrac with no bots, there's no follow-up. There's no person that threatens them on the map. This allows them to split up the map in 3 different spots, which allows them to climb back in the game. Despite, like Kyle said, they have no towers, but that doesn't mean they lost map control. Were you the only person back there, Kyle? No. Okay, can I get a tab, please? Nice, spacebar. So, we talked about outside of fights, now we're going to talk about inside of fights. BKBs, the name of the game for Team Unique. Gyro with Maelstrom, nothing to BKBs. Leshrac, nothing to BKBs. Legion, yes, BKB piercing disable, but absolutely no damage. So all they have to do is they have to find the Wisp when they doom the Gyro. You saw the Storm as well as the Lion blinking behind the doomed Gyro to try to make sure they cancel that relocate. It's just super straightforward for Unique. Pop BKBs, doom the Gyro, find the Wisp, and every team fight's going to be won. And when we talk about the execution outside of fights, in tandem with the execution inside of the fights, it's just much easier for Unique to execute their game plan. As that was a perfectly executed segment. Beautiful.
Very
Really,
well
just-
done, Brian.
God, you guys
It's a beautiful system, but it's just really buggy sometimes. Very
What do you
weird.
mean you didn't hit play? It's not. He's trying to throw the organization onto the.
No, I'm saying it randomly works. It doesn't work sometimes.
There's a singular 3-letter entity to blame. It is not ESL. It is BSJ.
Hey, you know what? I'll take the blame. It's my segment.
All right. Well, that's not a whole lot of positivity in this segment in general, but
Hey, I was
you know,
trying to be
an
helpful.
off game, Unique's gonna come back, look super good. Extremum's gonna be able to rival them, maybe even take it to game 3. I'm sure that's gonna happen, right? Let's go to the break.
If you liked this video, please like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel, all that shenanigans, because at the end of the day, YouTube does care about that. You may not care about it, I may not care about it, but the YouTube algorithm does. So please do.